Welcome back, everybody, wherever you may be and however you may be accessing us today. It's the Mad Nerds Podcast, episode 10. That just happened. We've reached double digits, and as always, I am, of course, your host, Superhero Deuce, with Mike is the Hat.
Yep, Mike is the Hat. I say it every week. Twitter, Twitch, and everywhere else on the internet thing.
Yeah, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Find both of us all over that. The internet broke this week. Tons of stuff happened. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was great. There was some big things in comics. Star Wars characters got names. We might talk about that a little bit later. Destiny DLC came out. Of course, there's the Sony hackening. Tons of stuff to get to, and a lot of opinions coming your way from us as always. So, Mike, how was your week? Did you have a good week, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I've been diving into this Destiny DLC head first. Reading the comics. A little disappointed that there's no Gotham this week, but I'll get over it.
Right. There's of course tons of stuff to keep our attention, particularly this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. mid-season finale. Man, oh man. The finale was called What They Become, and of course, coming off of last week, this was a huge episode. And Mike, I know you probably are still a little bit behind, so I apologize for all of the spoilers that are about to come your way.
I'm still very, very much behind, very, very far behind, but the spoilers are okay because it gives me something to visualize and be happy about.
Right. So
seeing.
So all the stuff that frustrated fans like me that watched season 1, last year when it was airing, we were kind of frustrated with several things, particularly Sky's origin. We finally got the answer to that in this episode, which was great. This episode picks up right where the last one left off. Immediate action. The Hydra plane pulls away from the S.H.I.E.L.D. plane after taking Sky and Reyna. And it's a great action scene where they're trying to evade the Hydra planes that are trying to take them out. And May does like a nosedive, and then they disappear into the clouds and, cloak. So Hydra thinks that the plane blew up, which is good, but it didn't. So that was an amazing scene. And we kind of get some big things right off the bat. Ward, we find out, has been working with Sky's dad. He's kind of had his own agenda. He's been working with Kyle MacLachlan's character, the Doctor. And his entire agenda was to get Sky to her father. He kind of made a promise that they would collaborate with Hydra and make this happen. So that was really cool. And a couple other things that happened before all the big action scenes was we got a Dum Dum Dugan name drop, which I think is cool. Because we've already seen him appear in this show. We obviously saw him in Captain America the First Avenger, and we're expecting to see him in the Agent Carter show as one of the main, S.H.I.E.L.D. members. Of course, he was a member of the Howling Commandos, and the reason why he got brought up is because they used some Howling Commandos technology in this episode. Agent Triplet, he said his grandpa was in the Howling Commandos, and we don't know which one. We're just going to assume which one it is, since Agent Triplet, is an African-American, and there was only one African-American in the Howling Commandos in the movies. It would just kind of make sense. Not even just being racial, just like that would make sense. If it was anybody else, I'd kind of be surprised, Unless, of course, it was, Sergeant Fury, which that would be like a huge reveal, and I highly doubt they're going to do that. So something here, there's a character, Mike, that you have not been introduced yet, and you won't be until the beginning of Season 2. His name is Mac. I mentioned him last episode because he went down into the Hidden City, and he touched the floor. He touched these alien symbols, and he became something, and kind of a rumor that was floating around on the internet was nobody was sure if he was dead, but he definitely became something else. He became someone else. He was almost possessed. Mike, are you familiar kind of with the Marvel character of Sentry by any chance? The Sentry, or Sentry 459, or anything like that?
No, I am not.
Okay, well, the biggest theory that came out was that Mac was turned into a Kree Sentry based on this technology in the Hidden City, because he's, of course, not special. He doesn't have that special quality about him. So they theorized that the city was defending itself. And I'm like, that's a great idea. If the city turns someone into a Sentry is one of the most powerful characters in Marvel Comics right now. And, of course, Sentry 459, the Kree sent here to kind of survey our planet and keep an eye on people. So I thought that was a really interesting twist. I'm not going to say they didn't confirm that in this episode, but it certainly lent itself to that. We have Bobby, Bobby Morse Mockingbird. Her and Mac are kind of collaborating on something, hiding things from Agent Hunter, so that was really good. The big emotional scene in this, though, Mike, was when Skye finally did meet her dad. It's an excellent scene. The emotional tone was so heavy. And Kyle MacLachlan is just amazing in this role. A big name drop, though. We finally got confirmation. He is Calvin Zabo. He is Cal. He calls himself just Cal. My name's Cal. So that confirms he is Mr. Hyde.
That is the biggest reveal, obviously, of the episode, like you said, and that's what you predicted on our last show, episode 9.
Yes, the internet was that was what the internet was kind of leaning towards, and I agreed. Knowing a lot about Quake, it kind of made some sense. Spoilers, we're going to talk about Quake here in a second. So that was really interesting. So now we're not quite sure what his origin is. He tells Skye what her origin is, kind of tells her how her mom died, and that, Skye has a gift, that she has to go through this transformation. Now, obviously, anybody who's familiar with Inhumans and the Kree and all that know that this transformation is called Terrigenesis. He said you have to go through this transformation to receive your gift. So I'm just sitting there like, okay, obviously he's talking about Terrigenesis, but they're not going to drop that word on this show right now. That's not going to happen. So that kind of took a break, and then we saw the Hydra people call out, the Doctor and Skye, because at this point she's still known as Skye. And Whitehall says, pick up the diviner. So she does. And of course, she doesn't transform into dust like the other people. She's able to hold it, and so she murders people with it. And then her dad stabs someone, and Ward pulls out his gun, and they were going to take Hydra, but then they were so severely outnumbered that they just gave up. But it's interesting that Ward took their side in the standoff because he loves Skye. So there was that, of course, big reveal that that's been his motivation the whole time. Back on the S.H.I.E.L.D. jet, of course, Agent Koenig. Mike, you're going to meet him kind of near the end of season 1. There's a couple different Koenigs in this episode, and it's interesting. They've been trolling the audience for so long that they might be life model decoys. They might be LMDs. And he says, my brother went to recharge his batteries. He got a little overheated. He needed to cool down. And then he just kind of laughs it off because there's like no confirmation of what they actually are. I'm like, this show is just trolling the audience right now, and it bothers me.
I like that, the life model decoys. You'll be hearing about those a little bit later in some comics that I read this week. So they're a little foreshadowing there. But the life model decoys are always one of my favorite parts of Marvel, especially with like the 10 million Nick Furies that there are.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's a huge part of Marvel lore. Tony Stark dropped the line in the Avengers, this is a life model decoy of Tony Stark. So that was pretty cool. And then Fitzsimmons, of course, discovered, though, that certain hazmat suits may disguise this human DNA from being detected by the alien city and Sentry. So they plant these timed detonators, and that's a big, nice scene. Then, of course, we get Whitehall getting killed. Coulson shoots Whitehall and stole Cal Zabo's revenge. So Zabo's just really upset, and he's jealous of Coulson because Coulson is already kind of acting as the father to Skye. A lot happened in this episode. Sorry, this is a long review, but we're trying to just cover everything. So he's, of course, really mad, and he starts fighting Coulson. I want to talk about Whitehall for a minute. Mike, he was the Kraken from comics, and shows have a bad habit sometimes if you're trying to focus so much on the heroes that oftentimes these villains don't get developed, and I think this was a case here with Whitehall, unfortunately. We've talked about that a lot with Gotham, that they focus on some characters so much that others just don't really feel developed.
Yeah, exactly. That's I was just about to say. It's like the opposite of what Gotham does with select characters. You get those. I mean, they focus. It seems like a lot on Selena Kyle, on Cat, or we get these little pop-ins from the Riddler, and then they focus on the people that aren't even really comic book people, like Fish Mooney and stuff like that. But I can see how that could be frustrating for Marvel fans to get somebody like the Kraken, and then he's just kind of like glossed over, really.
Yeah, so that was a big disappointment for me. Maybe he's not dead. He looked pretty dead. I mean, they shot him, so I think that was cool. Of course, it wouldn't be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. without an amazing line, Mike. There was an old Army poster that said, join the Army, travel to exotic places, meet exciting new people, and kill them. Well, Agent Hunter drops this line, of course, and it was so well timed and so well done. He's going through this Hydra base in Puerto Rico with Mockingbird, and he says, "Join S.H.I.E.L.D., travel to exotic new places, meet interesting new people, boom, and kill them." It was like perfect. I love that line. I just wanted to mention it. Pure gold. The other interesting person who got shot was Ward. Agent Ward, Mike, was shot by Skye. She shot him 4 times in the side. So that was a big surprise right there. And so that was huge. Of course, Mike, you don't know. Ward probably right now to you seems like the White Knight in Season 1. And that's why I'm kind of glad that you have started watching and you're only that far because, I mean, from where you're sitting right now to where Ward is today are two totally different people. I mean, like, what's your perception of Ward right now through the episodes that you've seen?
Well, I mean, I'm up to the point where he's become Sky's supervising officer or whatever, so that he's training her, and he seems kind of hard on her, but you could see that he cares about her. I mean, even early on, I'm in like episode 5 or 6, you could see that he cares about her from the first time that they see each other, when he gets the interrogation, the truth serum or whatever, and like the pilot. So you see that he's like the guy, but he tries to be a lot more to the books than Coulson, where Coulson just wants to get done however you need to get done, but he tries to follow a lot of more protocols, and from all the stuff that I'm hearing from you, what's going on this season, it seems like the complete opposite now.
Yeah, it's such a huge turnaround that is the part to me that I have to give the showrunners credit, because I never saw it coming, and it's made his character so much better, instead of just this vanilla guy that follows the book. So, of course, then we see Agent 33, who was loyal to Whitehall. She's been brainwashed. She doesn't know what to do because she just lost her purpose, so her and Ward have now teamed up. So that'll be interesting to see in the second half of this season how that goes. So we see that Sky's father, after he's beating Coulson to a pulp, Sky comes in and says, "Dad, stop!" So that was an amazing line, because just the emotional tension. He's been waiting his whole life to hear that, and he finally does. And he says, after you change, you're gonna come back to me, because you're gonna be afraid, and people are gonna be afraid of you, and I'm the only person who's gonna understand you. So he says, and he calls her Daisy. We finally get the confirmation that she is Daisy Johnson, who is also known as Quake from the comics. She was Nick Fury's right-hand person, along with like Mockingbird and Black Widow and Agent Hill. And she also she was an Avenger at times. So we're going to get to this in just a bit. But of course, Coulson, she goes after Reyna in the city because Reyna has already gone down there. Coulson pursues, and we see that Reyna meets the Sentry, or Mac, who guides her to the temple. So he didn't attack her like he did the normal people, if you will. Trip, is awesome. He goes down to defuse the detonator so the people don't blow up down there. But in the end, of course, Sky ends up in the temple. Trip ends up in there with him and Reyna and the Diviner. Trip's trying to save Sky. So this was the big scene, Mike. I was texting you about this because I was just going nuts. The Diviner opens, and a Terrigen crystal is revealed in all its glory. Just out of the comics. If you've seen the Inhumans comics, it looks just like it. It looks amazing. It releases some Terrigen mist into the chamber, and it cocoons Daisy and Reyna, and I'm just in awe of what's happening in this scene. It's almost like you can't believe what's going on. Like the process of Terrigenesis is happening right before your eyes, and it's not in a movie, it's on a TV show. It just looks so good. And so, of course, Triplet doesn't know what's happening, so he kicks the crystal. Unfortunately, a shard sticks in him, so he dies, because it turns him to stone. He's not an Inhuman. The cocoons break off, and we get the big reveal that Reyna has these spikes near her eyes. And then Daisy, we're going to call her Daisy now because she's no longer Sky. Daisy shoots off, and we get an earthquake. And it was just an amazing emotional scene. Like, I watched it again last night, and I got the chills because it was so emotional. Because she was so happy, this big transforming moment. She's being reborn. But then all of a sudden she sees that Triplet has died trying to save her. And so she has this immense joy and confusion about what's taking place, and this immense sadness that her friend just died trying to help her. And just such an amazing scene that I can't get enough of. Marvel won this episode. So good. Mid-season finales from here on out have to live up to this. Because that ending scene just sticks with me. It's the emergence of a new character, a character they've been building up to with unknown origins, and she's Quake, and she makes the seismic waves happen, and it's just so good.
David lost his mind. Like, if you couldn't tell just by that little description, like, he was texting me, and then we were playing PlayStation, he jumped in the PlayStation party and was just going nuts about it for like 25 minutes. So I'm glad that I have friends that watch this show that get so excited about it. So that's why I've, obviously besides the show, like, when people come and tell me like how great things is, and this is the same thing that happened with Game of Thrones. For like 2 years, people would tell me that this was such a great show, and then I finally sat down and got HBO Go and watched all the seasons in like one, 2-week period, and now I'm waiting for that, and that's the same thing that's going to happen with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. while it's on this winter break. I'm going to sit down, watch all the season 1 episodes, and then go on Hulu or wherever I can find season 2 and watch all those, so I'm ready to go come January.
Right.
Or whenever, February when it comes back.
March, first week of March. They've confirmed it's coming back first week of March. And so can't freaking wait. Of course, there's always an end credit scene, right before the credits, Mike, as you probably know. The final scene shows another diviner, just like the one that they had, and a man with no eyes is holding it and alerts somebody to alert the others that there's a new one out there. Now, the theory that's prevailing over the internet right now is that this is Reader. He's an Inhuman that was literally just introduced about 2 months ago in Inhumans number 4. He has very little origin stories. So, in other words, this whole episode basically, Inhumans confirmed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they're in the Marvel Universe, and this show is going to champion the Inhumans angle leading up to the Inhumans movie in 2018. My goodness, did this show just take a right turn. Like, now you got to deal with Skye has these abilities. There's other people out there with abilities. Gee, it's almost as if this is setting up for Civil War. Like, everything is coming to fruition, and it's amazing that this show gets to champion the Inhumans angle. Man, this is, like, everybody was complaining there's not enough superpowers. Well, guess what? There's apparently a lot of people out there with superpowers.
Yeah, well, but that's not the thing with S.H.I.E.L.D., though. It's like, they're not supposed to have superpowers. Like, Coulson doesn't have superpowers. Ward doesn't have superpowers. The Cavalry doesn't have superpowers. Fitz and Simmons don't have superpowers.
Right, exactly. And that's what bothered me. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. playing B-Team to the Avengers. Like, let's get that straight. But, I mean, the thing is, obviously there were a couple S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, like Quake, who had superpowers. And that adds a whole new dynamic to things. I
mean, I guess you could say Black Widow has a superpower, but is it like a superpower, or is she like Batman, where she's just very well trained in her martial arts and everything? That's
exactly it. Her and Mockingbird kind of fall into that, where they're just so well trained that they can stick it with the Avengers because they're so good at what they do. But they're not actually superpowered beings, which is nice. So, if you couldn't tell, I give this episode a 10 out of 10. A lot of the places on the internet gave it 9s, 9.5s, 10s. Well, I would give it higher if there was a such thing as, like, if I could give it a number greater than 10 out of 10, I would. Because it just changed everything. It completely just changed the Marvel Universe. It's not even just this show. It changed the whole MCU, which is what I've been hoping for out of this show, is that you have to watch this show now to understand what's going to happen in the Marvel Universe. And I'm just pumped for Agent Carter, debuting in January 6th, I believe. Just so much great stuff out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just amazing. Nerdquake everywhere. I have Nerdquaked all over. I'm still cleaning up my house from the Nerdquake. I have ruined everything. The walls shook. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I felt it all the way here in Vegas. I'm looking forward to the Agent Carter thing, too. There's an Italian tradition called Little Christmas on January 6th, so that's like my little Christmas present, is the Agent Carter show. This Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the ratings are always right around the same. The high 5 millions, 1.7 out of 5. So it's doing great as usual. Gotham, their DVR numbers are coming out. They're about on par with what they've been doing from the beginning of the season. So everything in the nerd world on television looks to be going stupendously. Now with this little mid-season finale break for both of our favorite shows, maybe we'll have some time to sit down and watch the other DC shows, Arrow, Flash, and Constantine, which I only keep hearing good things about.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about Constantine. I know that it was, I think they cut the season is going to be only 13 episodes, but they're planning on keeping it, just having it as like a half-season show every year, which that's not a bad thing. I mean, if that's how they want to do it, and if they feel like they could tell stories better that way, awesome. And I've heard nothing but good things about Flash, and they just revealed who Reverse Flash is on that show, so a lot of good stuff out of Flash. That'll probably be one that I catch up on during the summer, because it has been such a good show. But of course, it wouldn't be the Mad Nerds podcast if we didn't talk about the place where all of these stories come from, the stuff that all these stories are based on if we didn't talk about comics. So, Mike, how was your week in comics this week?
Exactly. So I went and picked up my pull box and stuff. I'm kind of disappointed because I'm missing one of my Future's End books. I have 30 and 32, but I'm missing 31. I got to rectify that situation later on today. So I will not be giving you a little update about that. But that is continuing to, happen. That's their big event. I believe that's running until May. But I picked up Batman Endgame Part 2. So I talked about Endgame Part 1 last week. What a great storyline this is, where the Joker has revealed himself. He was supposed to be gone, dead in the Batman storyline, and his face had been cut off and all that stuff. But he's back. He got some sort of facial surgery or whatever, and he was actually working as an orderly at Arkham Asylum. And he revealed himself to Batman and let him know, like, hey, we were friends, but not anymore. I'm here to take over.
That's it.
So,
man, that's huge. See, nobody's ever dead in comics, everybody. Nobody ever truly dies, except for Uncle Ben.
Yeah, Uncle Ben's the only guy that died. Endgame Part 3 will be out next week, so I'll be picking that up to talk more about that. New Suicide Squad number 5. We see Floyd Lawton, Deadshot, kind of recovering after his fight with Deathstroke in number 4, where he actually killed, here's another one, I'll put the air quotes, killed Deathstroke. And he's kind of in recovery. Amanda Waller is, checking on him to see if he's okay, and he's like, well, I need to be out there. Who's taking my place? And Captain Boomerang comes, and everybody knows how I feel about Captain Boomerang.
You totally love him, Mike, of course.
But we also get Reverse Flash in this episode, or in this episode. It is kind of an episode, but in this book, Reverse Flash joins
in this issue.
Yeah, it joins the team. We get 3 Ninja Man-Bats, which is crazy to me. I didn't even know that was a thing. I know who Man-Bat is, but like Man-Bats they have like katanas. They like fly in and they just murk up everybody. They're in China trying to run some mission. They're trying to blow up this place that's like cloning superheroes, like breeding. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Harley Quinn is still all crazy. She's talking about the new Taylor Swift song, even though and they're like, wait a second, Harley, how are you listening to music? You're not wearing headphones. And then she starts laughing hysterically. So things are going on. We had a Joker appearance in issue number 4. They mention him again in this issue, but he's not seen. There's a lot of things going down. And I also read, so that's my DC thing, right? It's not a lot. I didn't do a lot of the big DC books, Batman Eternal and all that stuff, but I did pick up Guardians of the Galaxy Annual number 1. And what an interesting book that was. This is where the life model decoys come into play. So Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, is part of the Guardians, along with, Agent Venom and the normal Guardians that we know from the movie. Well, this is like her sending a video home to Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, like her normal Earth friends. She's trying to make like a little video message to send to them from the Guardians of the Galaxy ship.
All right.
While she's doing this, I know this is kind of spoilers for you, David, because I sent you my little link, but you gotta
I didn't
this.
get a chance to read it yet, but I will.
But so she's doing this, talking about it's kind of weird out here in space, and then Star-Lord is like, "What the?" And then it's bleeped out. A SHIELD helicarrier comes through like a black hole, and then there's just a SHIELD helicarrier in the middle of deep space where the Guardians are hanging out at.
Wow. Well, that's new.
So yeah, I'm not going to spoil it anymore. There's life model decoys. There's some scrolls involved. There's a nice little fight. And Groot hugs Carol at the end. That's the only spoiler I'll give. She talks about how she just needs, sometimes you just need and then Groot hugs her. So
Groot.
And she starts crying.
Groot is just gotta love Groot.
I love when they're like he like interjects in a conversation, like Carol's talking to the camera and she's like, these people up here, and you just see Groot in one panel, like, stick his head in, and then the next panel, he's, like, fully in her little camera shot, and she's like, what, and then it's like, I am Groot, and she's like, yes, you are. And he walks away.
I'm glad to hear this book is well written, because, of course, coming off the movie, you want to play good, especially with an annual like this.
Yeah, it was fun. I was hoping, like, when I saw that I had a Guardians of the Galaxy, I was hoping it was the next Planet of the Symbiotes, but for the annual #1, I thought it was pretty good. It's funny, it has a little bit of feelings, and everything like that. But next week, as far as the Batman stuff goes, you got Endgame #3 coming out. It looks like the Future's End #33 cover has some little girl dressed up as Deathstroke. So I'm intrigued. It looks like there's a new Shazam comic book. Oh no, it's the Multiversity. There's a lot of stuff going on in Marvel. They have all these crazy, stupid things. The Identity Crisis 10th Anniversary Edition is coming out, though, and if you haven't read that book, I suggest you do. It's a crazy storyline.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Absolutely. So, Mike, you mentioned that Marvel has a lot of crazy stuff going on, DC as well. I'm trying to keep up with the crazy stuff as best I can. So, I read a few different books this week. I hadn't been reading the Spider-Verse books. I'm going to catch up on that kind of once the Spider-Verse is over, because it's too much to follow Axis and Spider-Verse. I can't do it. So, I did read one Spider-Verse tie-in, though. It was Spider-Verse Team-Up #2. Now, Mike, this was kind of interesting because have you seen all these Spider-Man memes that have popped up over the internet over the years and, like, various pictures of Spider-Man and things on them that are hilarious? Like, have you seen those circulating the internet?
The How Can I Shot Web and stuff like that?
Yeah, different things like that. Him being sarcastic and so something that was...
It's basically Deadpool, but like the memes are things that Deadpool would say, but pictures of Spider-Man.
Exactly. So he was a 1960s Spider-Man. That's what he's known as. Miles Morales, of course, the Ultimate Spider-Man, teams up with Ultimate Spider-Man from the Disney cartoon in this edition of Spider-Verse Team Up. And it's their job to go recruit 1960s Spider-Man Peter Parker to join the team. Now, Mike, off the top of your head, what would be problematic about Miles Morales going to recruit someone from the 60s?
Listen to his name.
Yes. Civil rights would be an issue.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the comic actually goes there. Miles Morales and Peter Parker say, are we sure this is a good idea of taking you back to the 60s? Because, you're part African, you're dark-skinned. And they actually went there, and I kind of laughed. I'm like, that's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. But, I mean, the Marvel has always been good about getting current events into their books. So, like, if they're going back to the 60s, that's a huge current event. That was the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like, that was a thing.
It ties in perfectly.
Yeah, and so the book itself was pretty entertaining. I liked it. Really enjoyed that part. It was a lot of fun because Peter Parker doesn't judge Miles Morales for his skin color, which just goes to show Peter Parker's morals. Like, that's just who Peter Parker is. He's not the kind to discriminate. He's not the kind to hate. People of that time period may not like Miles Morales, but Peter Parker is not one of those people. So I really liked that. That was one of the highlights of the stuff that I read this week. But, of course, I'm following the Axis event and the Marvel stuff. So I read, like, Deadpool #38 was really good. He saved the Korean X-Men, which are basically clones of the regular X-Men team. And the X-Men, of course, are really upset at him for that because they've been trying to kill him and them. The big one that I really liked was Axis Revolutions #3. Which is kind of like tells some stories that are on the peripheral of the Axis event. And the first one was that Kitty Pryde decided to rob banks. Talk about an OP villain. Kitty Pryde robbing banks.
That's not even fair. Like, that's what you hope for. Like, Kitty Pryde, if you had, like, a glitch in Payday 2, you go around, like, robbing banks and jewelry stores, for those of you that don't know. Like, that game would be perfect for her superpower. Like, if there was some sort of hack or a glitch or, like, code that you could put in to where you could just walk through the walls and get all the stuff and leave, oh, man, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those things that since her moral axis has, of course, been inverted, she's a villain. And it's one of those things that makes you glad. Like, I'm glad that she chose to be on the X-Men team when everything's going good because she's way too OP as a bank robber. Now, of course, they go to show that this bank owner was corrupt, like he had been, skimming money off the top to give it to mutant hate groups. So, she's kind of justified. So she's evil, but she's not too evil. Like I don't get that. It's okay.
Well, that's like at that point, it's like a Robin Hood thing.
Yeah.
Where, like, she's robbing the bank to stop her kind of people from getting, killed or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's going to show that there is still a bit of good in her. She wants to do evil, but it needs to be to the right areas. So, and then the other side of this issue, because of course they're usually a two-shot, Sandman was not there at the big battle of Genosha where everybody got inverted, but he's seeing all these villains that they've been inverted, and he's like, man, I've never been that bad. I can be a hero too. But of course, Flint Marko's kind of an idiot. So his idea is I'm going to bust an innocent man out of prison by setting up a heist in the prison. And then I'm going to look good by turning on all the people that are part of the heist with me, and it's going to be great. Well, it didn't go his way. The media still paints him as a bad guy, and he's like, I just can't win.
Well, at least he didn't pull the Carnage and burn down,
burn down the bank to prevent a future robbery. That still resonates with me. But, of course, I'm not going to talk too much about X Factor number 16, I believe it was, but the big issue of that was that Magneto rescues Quicksilver from that battle to take him to the main battle, happening in Axis number 7, which is where the big that just happened moment occurred in the Marvel Comics universe of this week. Because there's a battle going on between the X-Men and some of the inverted heroes, and some of the, so Scarlet Witch is there, Genesis, who's been inverted and now has become, New Apocalypse, and of course Genesis and Deadpool kind of had, a mentorship going on where Deadpool was mentoring Genesis, and Genesis really looked up to him as kind of an odd father figure. They were a very odd couple, but the comic ends with Genesis, Deadpool's trying to talk some sense into Apocalypse, and Apocalypse isn't listening to him, and he tears Deadpool limb from limb. You see him holding Deadpool's head at the end, and his arms and legs, everything is everywhere. But of course Deadpool can regenerate, so he's not dead. It's just that's just violent. Deadpool's trying to do the good thing for once, and this guy just rips him apart. It was really harsh. But of course, Mike, this is the big scene that you've not been spoiled on yet, so this is going to be the first time you've heard it. Scarlet Witch casts a spell on Quicksilver and Magneto. She says, essentially anybody of my bloodline, kill them. Quicksilver drops down and falls down. Magneto does not. Magneto is not the father.
Says Moripovich?
Yes, it is. Magneto,
that's
Eric
huge.
Lensher, you are not the father. Retconning several years of comics that said you were.
Yeah, that's huge, though.
And
that
Scarlet
is really...
Witch flipped out. She's like, you've been lying to me this whole time. Ah! The internet basically did the same thing. The internet just went insane. But here's the thing. I kind of did my research as soon as Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were cast in Avengers Age of Ultron about, okay, what's their origin story? Where'd they come from in the 616 universe? They were not originally Magneto's kids. That actually got retconned into the comics, so all they've really done now is retconned it out. So it didn't even originally start that way. So everybody who's complaining, shut up and do your research. Okay, things change. The 616 universe has been so bland for years. Let's just accept it. Captain America's black, Thor is a woman, and Magneto is not the father, okay? Everything's different. It is not as it seems.
Yeah, up is down, black is white.
Left is right, inside is out. Everything has changed. So, Mike, just kind of, obviously, this is going along with the films, because Marvel Studios cannot make Magneto the father of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in the movies. That's clearly the way that they took this. But what's your thoughts on this? Do you even care? Is this something that, rattles you? What's your reaction?
It's not really a big deal to me. I don't see... I didn't even know that was a thing, that Magneto was supposed to be their dad. I thought it was just... the old way. I didn't know that was retconned in. It's a big deal, obviously, that, he's not the father for those people that believe that he was the father for so many years. But, I don't see Magneto as a father, period. I don't see him as, a dad ever. I always think of Magneto as, the terrible character. He's, the bad guy all the time. And then he becomes, sort of that anti-hero.
What
in the film,
what he's doing right now, and even in the, like you said, in the films and in the comics, he's playing an anti-hero.
Yeah, but I mean, every time I see Magneto, though, when I close my eyes and I think of Magneto, I go back to the X-Men cartoon from Fox. And he was, he had the Sentinels on his side, and they all kind of looked like him and everything like that. So he was like the driving force behind all the bad stuff that was happening.
Right, he had the M-Class Sentinels and a lot of the stuff that was going on with that. So the way I look at it is Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were, of course, originally Avengers. Then they became mutants. So now it looks like we've already seen the poster from next year with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and it says no more mutants, kind of teasing some things that might be happening there. I would be okay with this, because, see, the thing is, how is magic a mutation? Like, that's the thing. Like, I get it. Like, she has the probability manipulation and stuff, but how is magic a mutation? It's maintaining the core of the characters. Like, you could get super speed from not being a mutant. Like, obviously, they're probably going to make them some kind of Inhumans. That's my guess. I think this is okay. It's an interesting twist. I'm excited to see where it goes. It certainly makes their relationship over the years far more interesting, and that he's been saying he's the dad and not. Like, what's his motivation behind that? I'd love to know. It opens up more stories. It's okay for the comics universe to evolve, because they need new stories. They need new things to talk about.
Exactly. You can't have the same thing over and over again, or like like we said, like, oh, well, you caught, say the Joker in Batman, or you've caught Magneto when he was a bad guy in the comic books, or you caught whoever, and then they're just put away forever and you can't use them anymore. Like, things have to happen in order to drive stories, because you don't want them to just run out of ideas and then they don't make your book, and then everybody goes to the computer and starts raging and writing articles on their blogs and all this stuff. It's like, or you get like podcasts like this where it's just like 100 negative things and nothing is ever positive. Like, stuff has to happen in order to change the way that everything happens in the books. Like, look at the New 52, and when Marvel rebooted, and, there may be another Marvel reboot coming up, and there may be another DC reboot coming up, but it's like, if they don't do that every once in a while, like, it's just going to get stale, and you can't have that, because they're not going to make money, and nobody's going to buy their stuff, and we're all going to be nerd raging in a bad way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that people need to kind of just get off their soapboxes for a minute, because both companies do this. I mean, this isn't unheard of. The 616 universe is their main universe. You have to find a way to continue to drive story. And they said before the event, it's going to shake the universe. Everything's going to change. Well, it has. Literally, so much has changed in this Axis storyline. And, if you look at, like, DC Comics, for example, I remember hearing when Arrow, the show, first started coming out and they introduced Diggle into the show. Diggle appeared in the comics like 2 months later. And he was never in the Arrow comics before that. Like, it's in an attempt to sell books. That is your job. And if television is a medium that you can use to help sell books, or vice versa, they're going to do it. This is a business. Like, comics are out there to entertain us and to be a business, a profitable business of entertainment. So that's my say on the issue.
I mean, even with that Arrow thing, like, looking now, when they do a reboot or something for Batman, I'm sure there's going to be a Fish Mooney character now because of the popularity of the show.
Oh yeah, and
that's
Batman
somehow going to get written into a book.
Bruce Wayne will probably look a little bit like Ben Affleck, I'm guessing.
And I'm gonna the Bat Affleck that won't bother me as much as Fish Mooney being written into a comic book. That's see, that's the nerd rage thing that I was just talking about. Like, she's not. Let's not go there.
Yeah, you just don't like the character, like that, and that's justified. It's not as if you don't like things changing. You just don't like her. Like,
oh well, she's. I keep saying she's not important to anything. Like, she's not the mafia boss. The Falcone, Maroni, those guys should be driving the underworld, not some insignificant. What is she, like a captain in the army of Falcone?
Yeah, she's a lieutenant. Like, I think that's the terminology.
I would call her a captain. I feel like lieutenants.
Okay, the captain. How about private? She's the private.
No, that's too low. That's like what the Penguin was, where he's holding the umbrella.
Oh yeah, good point. Okay, so I think we're about wrapped up on the comics talk, I'd say.
Yeah, comic books this week have been great. I mean, I don't remember a bad week of comic books since I started reading them again. So, and that was 8 months ago. But everything's going great. And then this past Tuesday, the 9th of December, because today is the 14th, and we're pushing on towards Christmas.
Yes, it is.
We got our Christmas present from Bungie. Well, Christmas present that you had to pay for. They didn't give it to us, of course. They got to make money too. But the Dark Below DLC from Destiny. I want to go here first, and then we'll wrap up with.
We'll wrap up with the big. We'll wrap up with the big one.
Yeah. So, and they could kind of tie in together too, because
Sony
and video games.
But spoilers, Sony.
Yeah. So the Dark Below DLC comes out. You get the new story missions where you're trying to fight the Hive, which are the creatures that inhabit the moon on the game, of course. Their quote-unquote god, Crota, is trying to be rebirthed. They're trying to bring him back from wherever the dead, or teleport him in, or whatever it is that they're trying to do. You got to go around and beat up different parts of his body. You know, I'll put that in quotations as well. You see the eyes of Crota, which are a bunch of people, a bunch of normal enemies, the Acolytes and the Knights, that are kind of acting as his eyes. You have the hands of Crota that you have to fight. The will of Crota, which is the new strike that they put in there, which is hard as hell. You can see me play that and say the F word a lot on Twitch.
Yes, he even titled this little episode, I say the F word a lot.
There's that. You go through and you just fight these things. You're protecting the computer Rasputin, which we've heard about during the regular story, from getting taken over by the will of Crota. There's just a lot of stuff going on. The best part, you get another raid where you actually finish off the whole story arc. There's an extra strike on Venus where you go and fight something that the Vex are scared of, and the Vex are supposed to be like the most powerful enemies in the game. And all the new gear that you get. There's a great, so they raised the level cap from 30 to 32, and you get all this new gear. Now, some people dislike that because they feel like all their stuff is made insignificant, but I enjoyed it because it makes the game fresh again. I've probably put over 120 hours into Destiny without even beating the raid, so I was stuck at level 29 for the last few months. So this stuff makes it fresh for me again. Like, I have new stuff to level up. New guns, new armor. There's new ways to upgrade stuff. You get Hive-specific weapons from Eris Morin, or whatever. What is her name? The lady that drives the Dark Below story.
Oh, right, okay.
She's somebody that was there and I guess fought Crota in the first time that they saw the Hive on the moon. And she's giving you all these, they're basically bounties, just like you would get from the bounty tracker, but they're specific to that story. And she gives you these new weapons. You get Hive-specific weapons, stuff to upgrade through the Hive-specific weapons. Like, I got this sweet fusion rifle, the Murmur, which I guess is like the main gun that they give you. It is sweet because you can change it from arc damage, which is like the electrical damage, to fire damage or solar damage. So it's a 2 damage weapon, and that of course can be upgraded to, I think the new special weapon cap is 331 damage, which is awesome. So you got all that to look forward to. We haven't gotten to the raid yet, of course, but we're going to start David's character soon, and we'll start Casey has started his character, so we'll have people to do the raid with now instead of just me, Sean, and Cody.
Right. But I will probably be starting my character this week, probably as of like tomorrow.
I'm not going to say this is a perfect DLC, because none of these really are. All this stuff should have been probably included in the game. They shouldn't have charged you an extra $20 for it, or if you bought the season pass like I did and some of my other, and Cody and Sean and those guys, we spent $35. Now, of course, we get the other one, we get everything when it comes out, but like, for all this stuff that doesn't really add a lot to the story, I mean, it adds maybe, the story missions probably add about 2 hours of gameplay, the strikes and the raid probably another 3 to 5, so you're getting about 8 to 10 hours, I would say, of new gameplay stuff that isn't really it just follows the formula of the other stuff. I know sounds like a terrible review of it, but I mean, it's a game just like World of Warcraft or any other MMO where you're basically grinding it out, and that's the main thing. That's what Bungie wanted, and that's what we got. So,
right.
7 out of 10 for this.
Of course, that's
me.
been people's complaint, is that you pretty much have to dedicate time to this game, which is kind of the reason why I've been putting it off, because, it is going to take a lot of time, and I would have to essentially choose this over the other games that I'm currently playing, and I haven't wanted to yet, so, and I haven't gotten the DLC, probably won't until I have, a more consistent income than I have right now, so, something that's very interesting there. But the big news that everybody's been talking about has been the Sony hackening. We're going to talk about this here. We're recording this on Sunday, and that's important to note because stuff has been coming out literally every day. It seems like almost every hour something new has been coming out about all of these Sony hacks, all of these Sony leaks. So this is our up-to-date discussion on it as much as we can when we record our podcast. So, Mike, here's kind of the basics. Sony got hacked. Some people think it's by North Korea. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to what we're discussing.
Yeah, that's a whole another idiotic issue. Like, really?
Yeah, they think it's North Korea over the interview movie which Sony produced, involving the killing of Kim Jong-un.
Oh, well, then why didn't people get hacked when they put out Team America World Police, where they made fun of Kim Jong-il with puppets?
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, we're going to stick to the main topic here. Spider-Man has come up a lot. A lot of this is a targeted attack that has literally crippled Sony and their security systems, their financial software. So it's terrible. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't approve of hacking. I don't approve of anything that these people did. Whoever did this deserves to be punished because this is wrong. You've literally crippled a business. Like, that's not okay. However, there is a positive side to this. And that is that everything that we speculated about how they've been handling the Spider-Man franchise has been confirmed. They have no clue where they're going with this. They don't want Mark Webb back. They don't want Andrew Garfield back as Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield did not like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. A lot of the people involved did not like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And
a lot of people that watched did not like The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Exactly, as proven by its box office numbers. And the people inside Sony have already started having talks. There was the first email that came out that I read was from one of the people involved in the film company. He emailed the co-president, Amy Pascal, and said, "We're discussing a deal with Marvel that seems pretty straightforward. We should do this. We should partner with Marvel." There's the big bomb drop, everybody. Sony has already been talking about this. It's not just fan service. It's not just rumors anymore. You can't deny it. It's been happening. As late as October, they have been trying to get this done. And I believe even like early November, there was some talk inside Sony of teaming up with Marvel to do Spider-Man films. Now, here's the speculation surrounding that. This is what's been revealed through these emails. Essentially, the deal would have been Sony would get to retain creative control over the character, so they would continue to keep his rights on film. Marvel would make the movie, Sony would distribute the movie, and Sony would have to put up 40% of the money to make the film. Marvel would put up 60%, and then Marvel would essentially get to write the character however they want and include him in Avengers films and all that. And Sony would get 40% of the profits, including some toy sales, which Marvel owns all of, and then Marvel would get 60% of the profits. And then Marvel would then produce a Spider-Man trilogy reboot based on the character that they introduced in Captain America 3 Civil War. So talks broke down right around the end of October, from what I understand. Somehow this deal didn't get done because Sony didn't like the way that some of the money was being divvied up. They wanted certain things that they were not going to get. So mostly based on pride. It was mostly based on, we still think that we can do something. We don't need Marvel's help. It reveals all the corruption and pride and greed inside Sony that we've already speculated about. It's been confirmed in these emails. So, Mike, with this out there, there's also, I forgot the big news, there's a Spider-Man summit coming in January where there's kind of a meeting of the minds that they're going to decide the future of the Spider-Man franchise. Now, I have gone on record and said, I hope that Marvel's Kevin Feige is there. There's reports that he will be. There's reports that the Russo brothers, the directors of Captain America Civil War, will be at the Spider-Man summit. and there's reports that Avi Arad will not be at the Spider-Man Summit in January. I hope that at the end of this summit that they come out and have agreed to a deal with Marvel to make this happen. To revive a character that I genuinely love. He's a great character, Spider-Man, all of the incarnations, and Sony has crapped on him for several years and have no direction with this character whatsoever. So, Mike, what's kind of your thoughts on this? We've speculated about this for months, and now to find out that some of this is true, this has to happen.
Yeah, at this point, now that it's out, like, if they don't do it, it makes Sony look even worse than they already do with all the nonsense that's coming out through these email exchanges. They need to give Marvel their characters. Like, let the company that created these characters take them and run with them, and then you can get your piece. You know, even if it's 25, something as small as like 10%, with as much money as all these other Marvel movies have made, you don't think that you're going to make enough money from that? You know what I mean? Even if it's a toy, the toy deals.
Yeah, and the toy deals are where it's at. Spider-Man makes more in toy sales than Batman, Superman, and the Avengers combined.
Well, there's like 8 billion Spider-Man toys out there. You know what I mean? And they got all the Funko. They're just releasing like new Funko Pop vinyls that are Walgreens exclusive in a Spider-Man line. There's a lot of Spider-Man merchandise is huge. I see little kids every day at my normal job where I work at Nike with Spider-Man hoodies, or now that it's starting to get cold, they got like their little Spider-Man gloves on. Like, Sony's gonna make money whatever deal that they cut, and the deal that they should cut with Marvel.
Yeah, but and they can spend significantly less to make about the same money.
Exactly. Isn't that what you're supposed to do as a company? You're trying to cut your cost in order to make the most profit.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying about this greed and the pride. It's like, it's only your pride. It's Avi Arad saying, I have things I can do with Spider-Man. Okay, then where have they been? Like, where has all that been? Because you claim that there's an untold story. Well, the untold story seems to end up on the deleted scenes of the DVD, not in the movie that you released. So, the greed and the pride is what's bothering me, because the thing is, if you genuinely care about a character and not just trying to make a movie that's going to sell, here's the thing. Make a good character movie, and it will sell. Marvel has proven that with stupid things like raccoons and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Make a good film, and we will pay to watch it.
There's a talking raccoon with a gun and a giant tree that can only say that it is its name.
And it outgrossed your Spider-Man film. And that has actually been revealed in those emails as a huge talking point for why Sony's trying to get a new direction on this. They know that they're screwed.
Yeah, well, look at I go back to Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 in particular, because the way they ruined Venom, first of all.
And that was totally the studio. Sam Raimi came out and said he wanted nothing to do with Venom in that movie.
Sandman was in that. It was that movie was just bad, and then they built in. That's why I didn't see The Amazing Spider-Man #1, and then when I heard how terrible The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was, I wasn't definitely not going to go see it. From that, what was that, 10 years ago that they came out with?
Almost 10 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. When that Spider-Man, I haven't watched a Spider-Man movie since then. I won't even go back and watch the other ones, the original ones that I have, the first two that were actually decent.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is amazing.
I will not watch them because of that movie and how bad that was. There was nothing good about it, and I will not watch Spider-Man until it's fixed and given back to Marvel.
Yeah, and I look at it this way, like, how much money would Civil War make if Spider-Man was in it? Probably over $1 billion. So Sony could probably make, let's just conservatively say it makes $1 billion, and Sony puts up 40% of the money to make it. You get 40% of the profits. That's $400 million, and you barely had to do anything. That's an amazing trade-off. Why wouldn't you do that? Pride and greed. Those are the only two reasons you wouldn't do that. And Spider-Man with the Avengers would be such a more amazing character because it allows to add on to his universe. It allows him to be that street-level character, that kid and the dynamics. Or if they even make him older, there's been releases that say Marvel would completely ignore the origin story. Good. It's already been told twice in 12 years. We got it. We know his origin story.
If they plug him into Civil War, it's Peter Parker at our age, his late 20s. He's not a little kid. He's not the young Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's got a family and stuff.
he's married to
Mary Jane,
Jane at that point. Like, he still has Aunt May to take care of. They're living in their house, the houses and stuff. He needs to be there. Like, that's the biggest thing for me is, like, Civil War, like, as much as a great character Black Panther is, like, Civil War is not Civil War without Peter Parker as Spider-Man.
Exactly. You can kind of explain his origins throughout Civil War even. Like, we know who Spider-Man is. Like, we're not dumb. The informed fans are going to know. They're going to see him on the poster and they're going to know Spider-Man is there. Cool. And that'll be the end of that. The thing here, the other side of this, as I look at this, is that Sony just has no clue what to do with their universe. They're like, we have so many Spider-Man related characters, but most of them are villains or anti-heroes. Like, how do we even tie them in? Well, the thing is, it would take a while to build them all up, of course, but the main issue with me is that I look at Spider-Man and I want him to be in good films, like, but they just have done so much garbage to him. Like I said, they've crapped on him, they've pooed on him, like, whatever you want to say, they've done it to him. Now, the other side of this that's been coming out is that Sony may have another plan to reboot the character again, and they would do a older version of Spider-Man, and they'd do the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline that kind of focuses on Peter Parker's morals. Now, while I would be okay with this, I do not trust Sony to make this film. If they gave that storyline to Marvel and helped Marvel make it, I would go see that film. If Sony holds on to this exclusively and tries to make this film, I'm not going. I will not see another Sony Spider-Man film because of everything that I've seen and how greedy they are and how corrupt they are. I'm not giving my money to that.
No, I just want to go to a Spider-Man film, if it ever comes out ever again, and see the Marvel thing at the beginning.
Yeah, I want to see Marvel Studios present Spider-Man. Done.
And know that it'll be okay. Because as much as, like, I know Stan Lee doesn't have maybe a great say in this stuff anymore since he's, in his, 90s now. But just knowing the fact that the creator of the character is somewhere lurking around and he's going to be in the movie is, refreshing.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man is Marvel. That is their, tentpole character. And so I think we've said about as much as we can on this issue without kind of getting into the uglier parts of this hack and this leak. But, just some final thoughts, Mike. How do you think this... I'm going to relate this to Deadpool. Do you think that this is like the Deadpool thing where the leaked footage of the Deadpool trailer came out and the fans on the internet just went nuts and said, we want this, Fox, make this happen? And Fox greenlit the film because initially the execs were like, man, that's kind of risky. We don't know if we want to do that. The Sony people are like, well, we don't need to give Spider-Man to Marvel. Like, we'll make a film that people will watch. Guess what, Sony? No, we won't. We will not go see that. Like, our reaction has been, yes, please team him up with the Avengers. Please team up with Marvel. Do you think that Sony gives in?
No, I don't. I honestly don't. They're too stupid, first of all. Sony's too big of a company. This is why they won't give in. They have not only, they have their motion picture division, obviously, which is what we've been talking about, but look at how much other stuff they have. They're selling TVs. They're selling,
Yep.
The PlayStation 4 is driving so much money for them right now. Everything that Sony does, like, the fact that they're going to take, like, some backlash or whatever from not giving people the Spider-Man movie they want and giving it to Marvel, they're not going to hurt at all. Eventually, in the long run, it's not going to hurt their pocketbooks. Their bottom line is not going to be, hurt. But if it's focusing on, and especially even if it's just focusing on the Sony motion picture division, they have so much other stuff that comes out that's actually watchable and good that this, like, is small to them.
Yeah, they're partnered with the James Bond, movies as well. They're a partner in that and are part of the distributors for those movies as well. Like you said, they do have a lot of other films. I just hope for the sake of the character, because they're an entertainment business, their job is to make entertaining things. They haven't been. They're failing at entertaining us with Spider-Man. Like, I think that this is the thing. If they go to the Spidey Summit and anybody with any kind of sense stands up and says, our job is to please the fans and the fans don't like what we've done, let's try this, okay? Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if that person was fired on the spot when they said that.
It could be. It just really depends. Like, it's interesting because at your lowest point, you tend to make desperate decisions, and this would be a desperate decision. And I'd be okay with that. This leak may be the best thing to happen to the Spider-Man movie franchise since Spider-Man 2, which was, by all accounts, one of the best superhero films ever made. Like, and that's a long time ago. So just think about that. How many great movies have come out since then, and that's still among the tops. So for my sake as a fan, I hope that they do the right thing. Obviously, there's a ton that can come out. There's a ton of things that can change. There's still more things coming out. But as it sits today, with the Spidey Summit coming in January, we'll try to keep you as up to date as we can on any major developments that are actually like legitimate with this. If something big breaks, we'll of course talk about it. But I think we've said about all that we can on this topic, Mike. Any kind of closing thoughts? Anything to just wrap up this section before we kind of close it out?
Yeah, the only good thing that's really coming out of this is that the PSN wasn't hacked and shut down like it was about 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the positive for that. So
I can still play my video games and not get upset.
Yes, so you can still play your video games. Just a couple quick hits that we want to touch on before we close out and do our rants of the week. Something that I enjoyed was CM Punk. Mike is joining the UFC. He is he's going to join Real Fighting. What do you think about this, Mike? I know that you're a big WWE guy and you like the UFC. What's your reaction?
And I was a huge CM Punk fan too. I thought his work was great. He's one of the reasons why I got back into the WWE, seeing him be as real as you could be in that, forum. But he's just pretentious. I hope somebody punches him in the face. I know Jason David Frank, right?
Yep.
The Green Ranger.
The Green Ranger has offered to fight him.
Wants to fight him, but I don't know if that will ever happen. That'd be awesome.
He doesn't have a contract with the UFC right now, so they'd obviously have to sign him. But if the UFC is about making money, which they are, they're a promotion business, and Jason David Frank only has like 3 or 4 professional fights, maybe 5, under his belt. They said they wanted somebody relatively inexperienced to fight CM Punk. That'd be the guy, and I'd pay to watch that fight. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'll watch it for free somewhere on the internet, but just the way that he's handled himself the last few months, CM Punk, with going on Colt Cabana's podcast and just trashing everybody in the WWE, telling people that, the doctors there didn't take care of him the right way and stuff like that. Like, it upsets me because they gave him a shot, 12, 13 years ago to get out of the indie scene, the independent wrestling scene, where, a lot of guys stay there because it's a more pure thing. You're not driven by the money. People go there to see the wrestling, not to go to see like the spectacle that is the WWE events, where there's all the fireworks and all this and that, and all this stuff. You can connect with the fans more when you're an independent wrestler. But they gave him his shot to do something that he loved from when he was 16 years old. And then he just goes back and trashes everybody. You know what? The WWE product hasn't been great lately. As a fan, I'm saying that. Like, I haven't watched it as much as I did the last couple years. But the way that he went about leaving, I think, was kind of distasteful. And him in the UFC is, like, ridiculous to me. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Because he's like, I trained, I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and karate. It's like, and so have 8,000 kids that are under the age of 12. You don't see them fighting in the UFC, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so that was kind of an interesting thing. And then, of course, the other big news of the week was this news about the Star Wars characters have been revealed. J.J. Abrams did it in probably the coolest fashion ever, and I'm really glad that J.J. Abrams is on this film because he does genuinely care about these characters for Star Wars. So we got some of their names in baseball card format. We're just going to go through those real quick. There's not a lot to discuss because obviously we know nothing about the characters themselves. So the first one that we're going to talk about, just mention, is John Boyega. He's the stormtrooper that appeared in the teaser trailer. He's of course, the black guy that everybody raged about on the internet for no reason. His name is going to be Finn. We're not sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy, but the card says that Finn is on the run when we see him in that trailer. So I'm guessing he was probably an undercover stormtrooper.
Yeah, he's working for the rebellion.
Yeah, he's working for the rebellion undercover. So that was pretty neat. Then, of course, Daisy Ridley, her character is called Rey, R-E-Y. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I hope she's going to be a main character. She looked fun. She's the one that was going to get on that speed thing. The desert, let's see, it's called a speeder.
Yeah, the land speeder.
Then
the big speeder bike thing.
The big one was that we're not sure if it's a Jedi or a Sith or what's going on.
At this point, like, it really has to be a Sith with the red lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm calling it a Sith Lord. His name is Kylo Ren. So it sounds like a Sith Lord to me. Either way, that's kind of an awesome name if you're going to have one.
Yeah, I like Kylo Ren. I wonder, like, realistically, where these characters came from.
I think they're brand new characters from what I would love to know their origins. Like, obviously, we're not going to find that out right now, but it's interesting, too. Let's see. So, the other character was the guy that was in the X-Wing. His name is Poe Dameron. Interesting. So, we don't know whether he's a good guy or a villain yet. It's interesting. Yeah, we don't know if it is what it is.
If he's flying an X-Wing, he has to be part of the rebellion because that's a rebel ship. Like,
unless he's undercover. I mean, it's entirely possible.
I feel like there's not that much of that espionage type stuff going on.
I think the best that we would see is maybe he is on the rebellion and he switches sides at some point. But I don't think that it's like an undercover thing. I think that only so much of that would happen in this film.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the rolling droid, Mike, the one that everybody said kind of looked like a R2-D2 playing soccer, they have revealed the name of that droid, and it is called BB-8. BB-8.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, so that's that. I mean, that's kind of your quick hits for the week. Star Wars does not come out for another year and 4 days. December 18th is the release date of 2015. A lot of fun stuff going on there. So this is our ending segment of the week that we always do, the Rants of the Week. Mike, I know that you've kind of already teased what yours is going to be about. Just go ahead and go off on this poor fellow on the internet. He's not a poor fellow, but he sure likes to paint a pity party.
He's an idiot. So I read an article about trying to look for, in the pre-show meeting, if we want to call it that, was trying to look for, some articles on the Dark Below DLC for Destiny to see, what kind of ratings it was getting, the reception that fans and, the professionals were putting out there. I didn't really find much, but I found this one article where this guy was just being a whiny crybaby because I've put over 100 hours into the Destiny game and leveled up all my stuff, and I beat the Vault of Glass raid a bunch of times, and I didn't reach the level 30 cap because I couldn't get the helmet I wanted. And now the DLC came out, and I passed level 30, and after the first mission because I got this helmet, and but now all my stuff is so insignificant. It's called a downloadable content, additional content, stuff like that for games like this are going to give you the good stuff, the new things, and make your old stuff feel old. That's the point of this, is to get more people to buy it. That's the incentive. That's how you make money. You're like, oh, look, all your old stuff? Well, look at the people that have the DLC. Look at their characters. Oh, they have all this stuff that's way more powerful than your things. Tough. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to spend the $20 so I get the more powerful stuff. And, like, realistically, I almost got upset about this because I have an exotic, a gold level helmet, and I was like, crap, I'm going to have to get rid of this helmet. It looks cool. It has a symbiote on it, so I'm buying it. But then when I went into Xur, who you buy it from, the guy that brings the special weapons and stuff every weekend, he has a new item area. Usually he only had 2 lines of items. Now he has 3. He has his new exotic stuff, his same, stuff, the exotic row that he had, and, the same 2 rows. But in the middle, there's a new thing where if you bought something from him in the past before the DLC, he will give you an upgraded version if you turn in that one, as well as, some of the in-game currency and an exotic shard, which you use to upgrade your exotic stuff anyway, which you buy from him. So, oh no, my exotic thing that I bought, I would say 6 months ago, but the game's only been out for 3, that I bought at the beginning of the game when they introduced this Zerg guy is now infantile. No, it's not. Actually, it's right there. You can fix it. So stop crying. If you don't like it, then don't buy the next one. But if you're going to write for a website, be prepared to be upset about video games because it's tough. Like, this is supposed to be an MMO, first-person shooter, built much like World of Warcraft and all these other games where you have to grind things out and make and level up armor and things like that. I'm excited because, like I said in my review of this stuff earlier, it makes the game fresh for me again after I've done nothing for the last month and a half because we had beaten everything. And I'm just running the same strikes over and over again, doing the same bounties over and over again. Now I get new stuff. Oh, look, I got this new helmet, or not new helmet. I'm keeping my helmet with the symbiote on it. I got this new chest piece. I got this new leg armor. I got these new gauntlets. I can level them up. Oh, last night I played. Oh, what? I got a scout rifle. Cool. I don't have to buy one that I was going to buy because I got it in a drop. Awesome. It's a Dark Below weapon, so it's a higher damage rating than my other guns that I already have perfectly leveled up. Cool, I'm going to level this one up now so I have an even stronger gun to use. Like, why do people complain about these things when they should already know what they're getting? There's no DLC that's ever going to make the stuff that's already in the game, seem like it's still great. They have to drive sales. It's the same thing I just said with Sony. It's the same thing that I'm going to say all the time with the comic books. Like, they have to change something in order to make more money. If you want a Destiny sequel or you want better DLC, they have to make crappy ones first and gauge interest. And then you'll be like, oh, well, this one's way better. Of course, there's another DLC coming out. I think it's called The Wolf's Lair or something like that. That's coming out soon. And they haven't announced the other 2. I think there's a total of 4 Destiny DLC. So hopefully Crybaby Guy gets what he wants from the next one. I'm still happy. Like I said, it makes the game fresh again for me, so I'm all for it.
And watch for that on the stream. We're going to stream David's origin as well. We're going to stream the origin of David, the superhero Deuce, playing as on Destiny. It'll be fun because I suck at first-person shooters, so you're going to get to watch me die a lot.
Nah, I mean, we have a plan that will prevent David from dying a lot on the stream. And to prevent it from saying Guardian Down, because if you watched me play the Vault of Glass the first time, you know that that's like the most...
Guardian Down, Guardian Down, Guardian Down.
The most annoying thing ever. Or if you watch... Well, you probably couldn't hear the Guardian Down in the last thing that we played and streamed from Destiny, because I was too busy swearing.
Yeah, so, wah, that guy's whining, and he's complaining because he doesn't understand business. He doesn't understand economics. Like, the reason why I'm so mad about the Sony thing, and why that's my rant of the week, is because I do understand business. I do understand economics. So why on earth wouldn't you want to make a film, even if you have to do it with somebody else, that will make you more money than you were already making while spending less? That doesn't make any sense. Like, for a company to have essentially all of their dirty laundry hung out for the world to see, and to continue to behave the same way, is the definition of insanity. Expecting different results by doing the same things over and over. It's complete insanity. I love Spider-Man. I've loved him ever since the cartoon. I read some comics of his when I was a kid. I could relate to the character and Peter Parker and everything he had to deal with, and just the understanding of this guy has morals. He's not just a superhero. If you take his powers away, he's still super in the sense that he lives a certain way. And the movies have failed to portray that in probably the last 3 movies. He has not had to make the no-win decision, like, where he's going to choose one thing because Peter Parker never wins. Like, I get that. I like that they made the movies a bit darker because Peter Parker is not all happy-go-lucky. Like, bad stuff happens to him. But honestly, I hope this is my dream scenario for Sony. This is my positive rant. I hope that this meeting happens in January. They come to an agreement to let Sony be in Civil War. And when I sit my butt in a seat on May 1st of 2015 to watch the Avengers Age of Ultron and a post-credit scene comes up, I hope there's 2. I want the first one to be of Spider-Man being introduced into Civil War and us having a confirmation on screen that he exists. I don't care if it's a CG creation with no actor picked yet. I want him on that screen. And the second thing I want is a confirmation that Thanos is behind all of this. And confirmation that Thanos has been controlling Hydra, that Thanos has been behind the Ultron thing, and that he is at the center of all this, essentially setting up Phase 3's Infinity War. We'll probably get an Ant-Man post-credit scene too, but I want something involving Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man back at Marvel would allow me, the consumer, who you're supposed to be the one making movies, Sony, to please us, the consumer. That's what we want. That is what we are asking you for. And it makes sense businessly. The Wall Street Journal even said that this makes sense. The Fortune magazine said that this makes sense. For you to not do this would be a stark betrayal of the fans that you somewhat have. I don't even know if you have any left at this point. Kick Avi Arad's fat behind to the curb. Tell him to take his Spider-Man hats and shirts and shut up and suck royalties off the films, because we don't need your opinions. What they need is they need somebody with a creative mind who loves the character, who wants to tell the character right, who doesn't care about making money, that will do this well. Partner with Marvel. They know what the heck they're doing. They allow Spider-Man to be part of their greater universe. They allow all of your great things to be part of a greater universe, and everybody wins. The fans win, Sony wins, Marvel wins. It's a win-win-win-win-win nerdquake, okay? Sony, just take... You don't listen to my stuff, probably, maybe. I don't know. But in case you do, or in case anybody does, anybody with any kind of pull, please get in the ear of these executives that hopefully will be fired soon, and get the new executives to make some good decisions. The fact that Bob Iger was already involved, I believe that's his name, was the head of Disney, he was already involved in these talks, tells you how serious this got. Get it back, reignite the fire, get Kevin Feige, get Iger there, all the heads of Sony, Marvel, and Disney, and get this done.
Yeah, that's the other thing I forgot about. Oh, wait a second. Marvel's owned by Disney. There's no way Sony's not going to make money from this. There's absolutely no way.
Then all of a sudden Spider-Man's going to be at Disneyland, and he's going to have a display, and you can sell spider crap at Disneyland. Like,
exactly.
It's money everywhere. Why wouldn't you do this?
I overheard a conversation the other day while I was at work of a couple of girls who are like Disney fanatics and how they're talking about changing areas of Disneyland and stuff to include Star Wars since it's a Disney property.
Yeah, they already have Star Tours in Tomorrowland, but I'm guessing you're talking about something bigger.
I mean, like, instead of what the girl was saying is like Toontown would move to like a Star Wars area. Like they'd take Toontown out and put a Star Wars themed section there, and I'm sure they're going to have something for the Marvel stuff that they own.
Yeah, they actually already
built
do.
In somewhere.
They already do, actually. It's a small area in Tomorrowland.
But I mean, like a much more grander thing. So imagine a small little New York.
Yeah, Marvel's New York on
people
like in person, in
kids taking pictures with Spider-Man by the little fake Empire State Building, or
by
you know what I mean, like
by Oscorp Tower.
If Venom was there, I would lose my absolute mind. That would be it.
I met Captain America and Thor, and I got to see the Hall of Armors, and I lost my brains. It's my avatar for everything of me with Cap, me with Thor, me in front of the Hall of Armors. I literally, just knelt down in front of the suitcase armor from Iron Man 2 and wept. It was a rather dramatic scene. And the people around me were like, what is the matter with this guy? And I'm like, you don't understand what Iron Man means to me. I would do the same thing if they had, a spider suit, Hall of Suits. You get the black suit, you get Spider-Man 2099, you get...
Iron Spider,
Iron
all that
Spider,
stuff.
get all of it. Man, there's just so much they can do. Sony, take your hand, pull your head out of your behind that it is so far up into your rectum, and just see the light of day, smell the fresh flowers that is Marvel Studios, and get this deal done.
Just do it at this point. I was taking a term from Nike.
Yeah, so next week, I'm going to the Marvel Experience next weekend, so I'm definitely going to be talking about that on the podcast. We're not sure what day we're going to be recording that, because I'm going to the Marvel Experience on Saturday afternoon. So we may record Saturday, we may record Sunday. Either way, you're going to get it on Sunday, as we always release it. I'm excited for that because, Mike, it's a 3D experience where you get to meet all the Marvel characters, all of them, including Wolverine and Spider-Man. So it's not just the studios. And you get to interact with them because they're 3D creations inside these domes. There's a 4D ride where you take on Hydra with the Avengers. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's not too expensive. It's here in Scottsdale. Then it's going to be in Dallas, Texas, I believe, and then it's finishing off in Southern California. It's only here for a couple weeks. It just started yesterday, and it goes through the beginning of January, and then it kind of moves around. So if it ever is in your area, if you're listening out there, definitely go look it up. Take a chance to go see this because it should be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I'll have my whole review on this next week, but we wanted to kind of give you a preview of that, let you know. That's what I'm looking forward to anyway. And of course, there's tons of great comics coming out this week. More superhero news, of course. We'll probably catch up on some of that next week, the stuff that we haven't touched on yet.
Yep, and don't forget, check us out on Twitch. We got the stuff coming up with David's Destiny character run. I'll be doing some more Dark Below stuff.
Yep,
maybe there will be FIFA.
Yep, I'll be doing some more Lego Marvel Superheroes, where Mike and I are going to attempt some co-op stuff on there. And he'll, of course, be helping me build up my Destiny character. We've got that planned out. So definitely check that out. We might do some co-op streams where he streams his side of that and I stream my side. Different things of that nature. But if you're listening on iTunes or anywhere else, check us out on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @MadNerdsAZNV, or on YouTube @MadNerdsAZNV. We definitely appreciate your support. So this has been our episode 10. That just happened. It was a big week of stuff that just blew our minds. Amazing, positive, negative stuff. So, as always, we thank you, we love you, God bless all of you, and hello to the NSA guy, as always. We are out.